Welcome back to another Pixel Game Maker tutorial and a devlog for Timothy and the Mysterious Forest DX. Today we're going to show you how we were able to darken a room and give light to the player as he walks around it. And with that said, let's get started. Alright, so here's the scene that we want to darken and then provide a light bubble for Timothy to see around as he walks. Now this is going to be a solution that we came up mid-project, so it's not going to be the most streamlined like I usually do, but it's going to be more like a devlog of how we did this. All right, so the first thing that we needed to darken the scene. Now, it could be easy. We have a light control object right here that is in every scene that needs to be darkened. And if we go to it, we can see that the first thing that it does is that it darkens certain layers, layer 3 through 8, all right? And it darkens them about 90%, and then it does it instantly. Now, we could have done all layers in the scene, right? Except for in our project particularly, we have a text layer which shows the background of the text and the text itself, and we have a HUD layer for other functions. So we don't want to darken everything. So we had to actually manually do each layer that we need. Now, the one thing that we have done is we have committed to these layers when we are in a scene like this. So we'll always have an overlay, which is more like an above layer, is probably what you're used to. A player, 2 decorations, a shadow, and a ground layer. So we have all of this and we're darkening it. And we could technically add more as we need. But this worked right here. So we darken all the layers that we need. Then we go and we execute an object action of the feed object, which I'll get to here. And we do generate lights, all right? I did all just to make sure. I know there's only going to be one object, but just in case, all right? So after we execute the object, we go to destroy. And we just have to make sure that the scene change is selected so that when you come back in the scene, it redarkens it. All right, so now let's go to this feat, right? So this basically takes care of darkening the scene. So now let's illuminate Timothy. So this feat object is a connected object to Timothy, okay? This is the feat, and it's just there. It's a child, so it's always sticking to it. But the reason why we made the feat was so that enemies would more accurately move towards the player. So for instance, when an enemy aggroes, it's going to move towards the group player feat, which is what that group is. And it's just a static, transparent image that will never change. What I mean by never change is the size of this image. When an enemy moves towards something, it moves towards the center of this image. Well, we wanted it to be more accurate. So we created a transparent feat, just a small little box here, so it will always be moving towards this point of the player. It won't change depending on, how big or how tall the image sprite is. The second thing that was nice about this is that we could add this generate light thing to the feat so that Timothy didn't have to have any extra code in it. So Timothy doesn't have to know that it's light. The feat can know. So when it executes object action to here, normally it's just chilling unless it enters a scene with a light control in it, in which it's then executed action here. And it's going to generate a light. Now, what ends up happening is that you can only have one light per layer. So this is kind of the caveat of this light system. So if the whole scene is dark and you have it on the player layer, it's only going to illuminate things that are in the player layer, all right? Matter of fact, we can just show this off. So let's do this one, which is going to be the above layer. This one is going to be the player layer. So let's skip all of these except for the player layer, and let's see what happens when we play test. All right, so you can see that it's 90%, but it only is going to illuminate Timothy and the sign. So if we do, let's say the ground here, let's unskip the ground. And now it just does the ground, but the decorations are all dark as well. So you have to make a different object for each layer that you want, because only one object can only be on one layer at a time. So what we did was we created another object, which I called system generate light. And this is going to have different nodes, and you can see that none of them are connected. And so basically we're going to generate 6 objects, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and each one that we generate is going to start in a new action. So one's going to start in layer 3, one's going to start in layer 4, 5, 6, etc. And you can see that layer 3 is the first thing it's going to do is move layer to layer 3. And then layer 4 moves to layer 4. And you can guess that layer 8 and them do the same thing. The basic settings I've set to none so that if we do destroy them, whatever. We also have it set to stick to parent. So they're being generated as a parent of feet. So since feet is following Timothy, lights will follow feet, meaning that lights will follow Timothy. And then in the field of vision, this is where we actually create the light. Now you could have a switch right here. We only have a light if the lantern is on. So if we do not have a lantern, then there will be no light. And then we have the apply selected color. Again, you set your radius right here. And then you could add a circumference blur if you want. And so that's basically the setup for this. And so what happens in the feet is that it generates, each one generates a layer 3. This one generates layer 4. This one generates layer 5. And layer 6, and so on. All right. And then it instantly goes into, just the normal action, chilling, whatever. And so that's how we get that effect. Now all layers are lit up as they need. Cool. So we took this a little further and we can delete Timothy from here. And we can go to a waterfall scene with Timothy in it. And now when you get to a secret spot, you fall down into the hole. All right. Now, if you want to see how that worked real quick, you just go to transitions here and we can see that we just set up this is where the portal is. You can't see it because of where it's at, but if I put it on the overlay, you'd be able to see it. And then you can see that the spawn point is above right here. We stop, fade out the scene music, play that music, and we just go run object action to Timothy fall. All right. And then in Timothy fall, it falls until it moves object to a certain coordinates. When it gets to those certain coordinates, because I'm using unconditional, but I'm using stop object action. So that means that this unconditional won't be able to trigger until this movement is done. Really convenient. Then it goes to a land animation. And then when the animation plays till the end, then it goes to idle. Now, the reason why I liked having the generate lights on the feet is instead of Timothy is so that I didn't have to run that generate light object on Timothy. Timothy can just do his own thing. And the feet, which is a constant with Timothy, can just always adjust to the light as directed by the, what is it again? The light control. So yeah, anyway, I hope this helped at least show how you could adapt it into a project. And if any questions, Steam Forums, Discord, we'll get you figured out. And with that said, we'll see you at the next video.